Hey guys! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a platform game on Scratch. Its name is Dog's Dinner, so let's start. Why don't we start with the main important step of every game, and that's by making a sprite. Dog's Dinner is a pretty complicated game, so we'll need to check our work carefully at every stage. But don't worry, I've broke this video down into 2 parts, and what you're watching right now is part 1, so keep following along. We're going to start a new project and name it Dog's Dinner. Let's start by making our simple character. We're going to click on the paintbrush symbol in the sprites menu. Now we're going to build a small rectangle the size of the cat's face. We won't be needing the cat anymore. Let's rename the sprite. We're going to call it Player Block. Now we're adding a simple platform. This is going to be our test platform. We're going to do the same steps, but this time we're going to build a platform in the sprites list. Don't consider it to be perfect, but do consider that if you make the blocks too high, it'll be hard for the box to jump over it. What's a platformer game without the sprites running around? It's time for some action. With the player block sprite selected, go to the Blocks palette underneath the Code tab and click on My Blocks. There are no blocks in this section yet. Let's add a new one that says Run Controls. In the Variables section, create a variable for all sprites called Run Speed to control how fast the player moves left and right. Uncheck the box so it doesn't appear on the stage. Then build the code shown here under the Define header. Anywhere we use the Run Controls block, Scratch will now run this code. Don't forget to rename your platform sprite. In the If loop, we want to add a Change X By block to change the position of the player block. Now adding the operators, we want to do a 0 minus the run speed. Add another if block. You could do the same by duplicating the previous block. What this code is doing is telling the player block what to do when we press the left and right arrow keys. Now add this code below to use your new custom block in a forever loop. Now, run the project. You should be able to move the red block left and right with the arrow keys, but not be able to move through the obstacles. Platform games are all about jumping. Add 2 more variables for all sprites, gravity and fall speed. Uncheck both boxes, then click on My Blocks and make a new block called Simulate Gravity. Following the code shown here, it moves the player block down by the amount of fall speed, and then checks to see if the player block has hit the platforms. If so, it reverses the last move and sets fall speed to 0 so that the platform stops the player's fall. The If block tells what to do if it's touching the platform, but what about if it's not? Remember to switch that out for an If-Else block instead. Insert the blocks shown here into the player block's main code. Make sure you set the value of gravity to -1 and fall speed to 0. Run the project, grab the red square with the mouse and drop it from above the platform. It will fall down and come to rest on the bottom. But there's a problem. It slows down just above the platform. That's because our method makes the blocks reverse after hitting the platform and then start falling again at a slower speed. We can fix that later. Now you have to create the jump. In Scratch, it's really easy. Just add some new code to the player block in the upward kick when you press the spacebar. First, make a new variable for all sprites called Takeoff Speed. This is the player's upward speed on this jump. Then create a new block called Jump Control and define it as shown here. Remember to add the Set Takeoff Speed to block into the player block's main code and set it to 12. Insert the Jump Control block into the forever loop. When you run the project and press the spacebar briefly, the player block jumps up and comes back down again. But it goes up till infinity until you stop pressing the space button. Let's fix the jumping bugs. Now there's another jumping bug. It's pausing just above the platform and falling slowly again. You need to change what happens the player blocks touches the platform. At the moment, the red square reverses by the whole fall speed number when it hits the platform. Instead, we'll make it reverse in tiny steps until it's just above the platform. Create a new variable called reverse step for all sprites. Change the Define Simulate Gravity code as shown here. It's a little complicated, so pause the video if you need to. When the player block hits the platform, the repeat until loop, it reverses the player's block until it sits in just 1 step above the platform. You'll notice that the player block rises back out of the platform very slowly. Scratch has a trick to fix this. Right-click on the Define Simulate Gravity header block and select Edit from the drop-down menu that appears. Check the Run Without Screen Refresh. When you try jumping again, the tweaks you've made should help the player block jump and land very smoothly. Make a new block called Fallen Off, shown below, to check whether the player block is at the bottom of the stage. Add it to the forever loop, then build a short bit of code. Test the new code. The controls should now stop working when you hit the deck. A red square isn't a very interesting main character for a platform game. You need something fun that you can animate. It's time to introduce the dog. Click on the sprite symbol in the sprites list to add a new sprite from the library. Select Dog 2. This is a great sprite to use as it has more than one costume, which means you can animate it. You'll only need Dog 2's first two costumes for now. Add the code on the left to Dog 2. It sticks the dog to the front of the red player block so that it moves with it to the stage. The dog switches continually between its two costumes when you press the left and right arrow keys, which makes it look like it's walking. Run the project. The dog will now run around the stage with the player block. If its paws are too low down on the platform, you can raise the center point of the player block costume in the paint editor. Since the dog sticks itself to the player block, the dog is just a decoration, so it doesn't really matter if its paws stick out as it walks. It's the red square that's doing all the collision detection. Let's give our blue dog more personality. Let's make him howl with disappointment when the game ends. Load the Dog 2 sprite from the library again as a new sprite, but keep only the Dog 2C costume this time. Rename the sprite Howling Dog. Load the Wolf Howl from the sound library. Add these two code blocks to make the Howling Dog appear when the game ends. Let's add this short code below to the original Dog 2 sprite, not the new Howling Dog sprite, to make it vanish when the Howling Dog appears. Run the project and see what happens when the dog falls off the platform. Okay, so the next step is one of my favorites, and it's to create the game's 3 levels. We'll need to draw the platforms for each level by hand, so try to copy it as best as you can. Okay, so now our game needs portals for the player to be able to progress through the levels. A portal is like a doorway that opens up when the player has completed a level. Try running the project again. You should be able to run and jump on the level 1 platforms, but at the moment, there's no way to get to level 2. Click the Sprite symbol in the Sprites list to open the Sprites library. Add button 1 to your game and change its name to Portal. The portal needs some setup code to position it correctly in each level to make it slightly see-through before it opens. The portal's second block of code waits for the bones to be collected and opens the portal by showing it changing color until the player touches it. Run the game. We haven't added the bones to the game yet, so the portal will open immediately. You should be able to run through all the levels. If you can't, go back and carefully check the steps. If the portals are not appearing in the correct spot on the platform, don't worry about it. We'll change that later. In this set of code, let's make the last block is switch costume, not switch backdrop. Okay, so let's be honest. It's not much fun just racing through the levels without having anything else to do. Let's add some bones that the dog must collect to open the portal. After all, he's getting hungry. Let's create a new sprite and draw a bone. If you're not really good at drawing bones like I am, just open a new tab in your computer. Type in bone, transparent, black background, or bone black background. Then type in remove.bg. Upload that bone into this software. You'd get a white bone. Upload it. We honestly do not need such a large bone. Let's go ahead and resize that. Add the start code shown on the left to bone 1 to make it hide when the dog collects it. It also updates the bones counter. Load the sound dog 1 to the sprite so the dog gives a happy woof when he gets a bone. Run the project. At the moment, you should only have to collect 1 bone before the portal opens. The game needs more than 1 bone, so right-click on the Bone 1 sprite and select Duplicate. Do this twice, it will give you 3 bone sprites. You need to change the setup code blocks for Bone 2 and Bone 3 so they appear in different places from Bone 1 on each level. Change the numbers in the Go To blocks to match those shown here. The Bones code blocks manage the number of bones on a level automatically. Run the project. You should find the portal won't open until you've collected all 3 bones. When we run the project, we can see that the bone only appears on level 1. To fix this, we would need to add a show block at the end of all 3 bone code. Nice, so much better. That's it for this part. Next part, we're going to add junk food and a lot more to finish off this game. Thanks for watching. Bye!